They're not that much smaller. They're like all squeezed in between other rooms. Do you want to like under the table?
Not fussed. Cool. You on that? Cool. Okay. Well, just like give us a little brief history of the how, where, and when.
Sorry. The what? I'm sorry.
How, where, when, and why it started and stuff. Just a brief.
Okay. Well, we started. Wait, do you want me to shut the door?
Yeah, can we?
It's real. God damn it! Keep it down. You go. Okay. Your part. Okay, we started in 8th grade, and we were just like there was.
How old? Sorry.
13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we were like kids, and there was a show at our school, and we just wanted to play at it. So we learned 4 covers and practiced for like 3 weeks, and we played at lunchtime, and it was.
What were the covers?
A Shona Knife song, Riding the Rocket, the Muff song,
L7,
and what was the 4th one? Oh, Syndicate of Sound.
We did a cover of an oldie by Syndicate of Sound. It's more of like a one-hit wonder. So most people don't know that band, but it was called Hey Little Boy, but the original is called Hey Little Girl.
Recently, Joss Stone just ripped us off of that idea.
Oh yeah,
fell in love with the girl.
Yeah, switching around. Yeah, we thought we were the first. We were the first.
So when did things start to pick up? When did things start to happen?
Not for about, I think, like maybe 6 years after that. Maybe even 7 years after that. But we were a band for so long, you know, that we weren't really used to anything happening, or we weren't imagining that we were ever going to make a record or a video or anything. So it was really not for a long time. You know, we spent all of high school just rehearsing and playing like a show every few months, like with other kids from our high school usually. And then as we got a little older, sometimes we could play at like a club in San Francisco with a real band and a real show. So not for a really long time. And I think when we were about 18 is when we finally put out a real CD with, you know, we had some vinyl out before that, but that was when we signed to Lookout Records, which is an indie label in the US.
Okay, and what do you think the benefits are of, you know, you're struggling for your art and it takes you a while as opposed to sort of immediately being stellar?
Well, actually, that's kind of what our single is about, Fall Behind Me. I think it's cool because I think, like when you start at the bottom, you can like appreciate what you have when you're on your way up, instead of just like all of a sudden getting it one day and you don't know like what it's like to not have it, so you don't appreciate it. So I think that we complain a lot. We rejoice in complaining, but we do appreciate it because we know what it's like to be in Europe and not have a hotel at all. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And how did you find the industry? You know, when you were sort of inside it, is it as sexist as all that?
Yeah, well, I think that even on the outside you can tell how sexist it is, and I don't think that there are a lot of surprises once we signed to a major label. We'd already experienced, like, from photo shoots and making videos or doing interviews, how many people like really don't understand what kind of band we are. Like, they really always, I think, assume that we're going to be much more like pop oriented just because we're female, and males always assume that like we're going to not really know about our equipment or not really play very well or all that kind of stuff. We've always been used to that, so we're never surprised when there's a lot of sexism around, because to me, like, it's pretty normal. We come across it every day. But also, like, I think it's worse when you're just touring. It has nothing to do with even being in the music industry, but like just traveling from town to town, you know, you meet like hicks in every city that are just like amazed that there's an all-girl band, for one thing, and then second of all, that once you actually play a song, they're like, wow, you guys can really play. And it still happens, like, even when, as the older we get, it's like you still meet people who've never seen a girl band, you know, so they're just always like in awe. And it's sort of, I think they try to compliment you by saying they're like, they're impressed that you can play, they're surprised and impressed or whatever, but it's always, you know, a very backwards compliment, because obviously the fact that they didn't assume we could play, the fact that we were girls made them assume the opposite, is always sort of like a sad thing.
And you can tell that they have low expectations too, so it's like not a real compliment. It doesn't really make you that flattered, because it's like, it's not like saying, oh, you're a great musician. It's like, oh, wow, you don't suck. And you're like, yeah, thank you.
So what would you say to sort of, you know, young female bands like yourself? Because there seem to be so few.
Yeah.
There aren't very many.
Well, like when they asked us how we got started, we just say to start with friends and stuff, because that's like the whole key. When people act like that to you and people treat you kind of like they don't believe in you, you can always be like, well, at least we believe in ourselves and each other.
Yeah, and also like maybe instead of like competing or not wanting there to be other girl bands and wanting to be the only one, it's better like tell your other friends that are females that maybe play an instrument, like, you guys should start a band too and we'll tour together. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that the fact that like there's only one in like every like country that really stands out is really a depressing thing. Like when people think of one girl band in America or two girl bands in America and like one girl band from Sweden, and it's like there's just not enough to really like show people that females can play. It's like, yeah, a few of them can play and here's an example, but if it was more even with male bands, which it never will be, but if one day the numbers started to get a little closer, I think that's the only time people would ever stop being surprised or act like it's such a strange thing, you know?
Because then when you do well, no one would be able to say, well, it's just because you're a commodity. You know, they'd have to acknowledge that it was just because you're a good band, because there'd be a lot of other bands like you.
Okay. And what are you listening to at the moment? What's on the player? It's not your room, is it?
No, this is in our room.
No.
This is a friend. We're like
Also,
hip-hop style today.
Besides, I wouldn't be able to listen. We don't listen to CDs on tour anymore because we used to bring like huge books of CDs, and now we can bring our iPods. So I love that because it takes the place of like it weighed so much. We all had like huge backpacks just to carry all our CDs.
Now we can DJ if we want to.
So what's on the pod?
God,
I listen to Love a lot. I went to see them right before I flew here, and what else? I don't know. We also, like in the dressing room, we were listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin, but we have stereos that we can plug our iPod into that are like mini travel speakers, but they're like really loud if you put them on the floor, so they're really good for dressing rooms before you play.
We were supposed to DJ the other night, but they didn't have the cords to plug our iPods in, so we were just trying to play like from his CDs, and we're like, oh, Guns N' Roses, we like that, you know, cool, Motorhead, we like that, and he'd be like, yeah, I just have to play this Franz Ferdinand, and then I'll play your song, and then, so we'd play Franz Ferdinand, and we'd get to the end, and we'd be like, okay, and then it wouldn't be our song. We were so bummed. We just wanted to hear the classics.
They never learn the rules.
Well, we DJ. I think it sounds funny. Like we don't really explain, but like we don't really know how to use like the DJ, like all the like. Oh shit!
Awesome.
Should we answer the phone?
Hello?
I think we don't really know how to like work all the tables, but we usually have to have someone who is DJing that night has to like relinquish their power to us, but help us. So they're usually kind of angry. Sometimes they're nice about it, but they're usually like bummed because all their friends came to see them DJ. But they DJ like every week or whatever. So we're like, you can live without like 1 hour of DJing. And then we bring our iPods because we don't have our CDs with us. And then we just each take turns like playing songs. But we have to have it all hooked up, and every system's different. So we're always like asking someone to help the whole time.
Yeah. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think of the that whole Megadeth Metallica feud, and have you guys ever been involved in a kind of a rock and roll feud?
Yeah, we've had, well, not really the same kind of feud. I think that whole thing with Dave Mustaine was really sad. When we were watching it, we were like looking at each other in the movie theater like, it's so sad. How can that be? Like, you know, everybody was leaving too, and that was like what everybody was talking about. Like, can you believe about Dave Mustaine? Because I had no idea that was in there. Like, nobody told me that he was even in that documentary.
They don't talk about that.
So I didn't know they were going to touch on such a depressing issue with them.
And he's like, whenever the song would come on the radio, I'd be so bummed. I'd be like, I missed my chance.
I couldn't even handle that. Like the looks on his face. And I don't think we've really ever had the kind of feud that was like that deep rooted that lasted that long, because we're the only people we know that have known each other that long, like from that long ago. We don't really hang out with too many people from high school, just like 2 or 3 people, and they weren't in bands. There's no feuds with them, but we did have we have one band that always, I think we got in a fight with them, but it was a misunderstanding, and they're the ones that actually turned it around and made it a huge deal. And then We can't really talk about.
Oh, okay. Fair.
We don't want to give them.
They're not.
They don't get any
famous, though.
press
Don't worry.
unless we
They're
talk
just
about
not.
them.
They're not even.
We don't want to give them any.
But they started this fight one night, and it was more like a physical fight actually, and poured beer all over our singer, and when we found out why, because we were so angry, and the bands that we were on tour with, they all like tried to like basically beat this band up, and we didn't want there to be any violence or anything, so we just told them to get out of there. But there was like a feud going on, and then when we tried to kind of pretend like we weren't angry and apologize just to see what they would do, they were the reasons they had were like not even real. Like we never did anything to them, but they seemed to think we did. And I think now they'd rather just say that we hated each other instead of just saying nothing really happened.
It's really
It's the stupidest feud in the world because nothing really ever happened, yet we fight all the time. And I think that they like to just say that they are in a feud with the Donnas.
Because like even
they're not famous.
Yeah, well, and we're in a feud with them, but we don't really care. We won't even tell people who they are because it's not even interesting.
And the bass player Maya and I went to like one of their shows to be like, okay, we're sorry, it's no big deal. And they were like, yeah, it's no big deal. I mean, it's a joke, right? We just started that fight for press, right? Like it's totally just to get attention. And we're like, what are you talking about? So they're just that kind of band that makes stuff up just to talk about it.
Well, they'll never learn.
No.
I might try and find out who they are. So what have you been up to since the last album? Because this is the Donnas Grow Up on the press release, apparently.
Right, apparently on the press release.
And so, I mean, what's changed since the last album? How is this different from the last and the one before that? Where are you at now?
Well, I think we just toured a lot, actually, between now and then. We toured for like 13 months. So
that's all that ever happens in between albums. I think people always want to know what we did or what happened or if anything major happened. And we always just are like, it's just so much touring in the grind,
So it feels probably like a short time, in fact, whereas we've been waiting a year and a half.
Yes, exactly.
Because, for you guys, it was a year and a half of like, what's going on? Where are they now? And like, we come to your town for one day and who knows what we're doing the rest of the time? Crack? Heroin? But we're like... We're like on tour for 13 months, and then we get to go home for like a couple months, have some surgery.
Yeah, our drummer had surgery on her wrist, and I think that I don't think that we don't really think we grew up necessarily because we're not going to grow up. We finished college. We never like worked in an office, and there are certain things that you don't like ever do when you're in a band.
But I do think we had like new experiences.
Yeah, but instead like we grew up when we were 18 in some ways because we traveled all over and like slept on people's floors and like did things the hard way for a long time. And then also just doing like press and dealing with people making fun of you at a young age, I think kind of toughens you up. And in a way, I think we're more mature than a lot of other people our age and that just stayed at home and went to school and stuff.
Which is hard because I think like when people pick on you and make fun of you a lot, it makes you like kind of close up, like the four of us like are a unit,
Yeah.
And I think people sort of see that as being immature sometimes. They're like, why don't you get over that? That was high school. Like, you guys are stuck in high school. But it's like, it still happens. Like, people still treat us that way. And we still, like, have to have comebacks all the time or have to know how to, like, let it roll off your back. And I feel like in a lot of ways, people still act like they're in high school,
Yeah, well, everybody is immature, I think. I don't think there's such thing as growing up, I think. There are like 80-year-old men that act like babies, so well, all men act like babies.
Yeah.
No, just joking. But I think that also when you travel and you tour so much, you really like get to know the songs on your new record in a way that kind of prepares you for the next record and makes you kind of think, every night I'm playing this song, what is it that I'm getting sick of and what is it that I like about it? And there are certain songs that, when you're done with the touring, which ones you don't want to play anymore, which ones you're just sick of forever, which ones you want to put away maybe for a month, but maybe later you'll be into them again. And then there are the ones that are timeless and like you feel like you could still play them and you still have fun playing them. So I think when we write like new records, it's almost the same every time, but this one especially is like so many songs behind us, and which are the ones that we really enjoyed at the very end of the tour. And which are the ones we were just like, oh, I really wish I hadn't written this one, because it's just, I think we're always proud of stuff when it comes out, and then the more you get to know it, the more you're like, this could have been better, or it's not challenging for me, you know.
Well, and it's all true at the time that you write it, but some continue to be true for a long time, and some sort of, you get over it. So, like, you're still singing that song in a year, and you're like, well, if I was really over this guy, I wouldn't be singing this song about him. You know what I mean? So it's like, some of them are more general and more timeless.
And also, there are some songs I like not having to look at the guitar or not having to think about playing. But if the whole concert's like that, I find it like, I don't feel like I'm really like focusing on guitar playing, and that's what I love, and that's the reason I'm in the band. And I don't want to just be like running around and like never looking at my guitar and like only, you know, making use of the stage in other ways. Like, I'd rather like have to like look at my hands during a solo, you know. And the last record, I just feel like most of that stuff, we were just like so tight and so used to playing the same set. It was just like, on the next record, I want to like have something where I feel a little more challenged and felt like maybe I might mess up, and that gives it a little more excitement when you're playing. Yeah.
So how do you go about writing? How's the writing process? Are there any of you that sort of write more than others, or, you know, how's the writing process? You write on tour as well, or?
We don't write on tour very often. I think it's just too much. Like, we do more. Some bands have more time, I think, to kind of relax during the day, and we usually are working like from the morning, which is, I mean, obviously if you're up to like 3 a.m, then when you wake up it's like 11, but usually we work pretty early, like with interviews or like going to in-stores or signings, and our schedule just sucks on tour, so it's not usually enough time to like go to your hotel room and with an acoustic. But
present shows don't go together very well.
No, it's hard to do both. So it's like, when people tell me they write on tour, I'm really jealous, because I think it would be nice to go and relax and try and like work out a song, but there's just no time. But we usually write like after we take like a couple months off after the last tour for whatever album, and usually we all kind of like write by ourselves for a while. I think it's easier to get like initial ideas on your own and be creative that way. And then when we get together, we usually just pool all the ideas and see what kind of lyrics we're working with, and
if we've written any of the same lines. So like, that's definitely a keeper if we like more than one of us have come up with it.
And also, in the 3, Tori doesn't usually write lyrics, but we split the songs 4 ways because we all 4 co-write the music and the songs and the arrangements. So the other 3, Maya, Brett, and I usually write a lot of lyrics, and I think we try to keep it mixed up in a way so that it's just like not one song feels like it's one person's song. I don't want like Brett to feel like she's only singing my song or Maya's song, and you know what I mean? I think it's nice also to say like, we worked on this one together.
Okay, cool. We've got 2 minutes. Just 2? Is that cool? Thanks. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Quickest 20 minutes I've ever seen.
That was weird.
Can we get a shout? Just with it on as you're watching clickmusic.com. Click music. Is that cool?
Is it clip or click?
Click.
Okay. .com. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Hi, we're the Donnas, and you're watching clickmusic.com.
That's cracking stuff. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And actually, while I've got 1 minute, say, why gold medal?
Well, it really isn't that deep. Someone in the band like said it out loud, and we just liked the gold. The Golden State is where we're from, and I think it had nothing to do with the Olympics, I promise. And I think we liked the idea because we wanted this album to be sort of like our a little shining diamond of an album that like, it doesn't have to be the best one forever, but for now it's like something we were striving to be a lot better than the last album, as opposed to just a little better. Like, we want it to be to really like outshine everything we've ever done. So
I feel also like we are kind of like rewarding ourselves before we get any reviews or anything. It's like,
to us it's the gold.
It's good.
It's a gold record already.
We don't really, I mean, we like other people's approval, but we don't need it.
Yeah. I think that says a lot about like the songwriting and like the way we made it, and like just sort of the everything behind like what made this album really had a lot more to do with not wanting to impress anybody as much as just making the 4 of us happy and feel like we all did better than we've ever done before, you know.
And you're happy with it then?
Yeah.
Nice.
Of course.
Right, well, at the risk of getting knocked again, Thanks.
Yeah,
I
thank
want
you.
it to be like at the fun fair where you just join the back of the queue again.
Well, sorry,
That's us again. We've got some more questions.
I feel like I need some like caffeine so bad. Hope we weren't too like, or I wasn't.
No, well, I hope you're all feeling okay and
Yeah,
get
yeah.
well soon
Thank
and
you.
don't pass it around. Because I've got a
Trying
cold
to keep-
actually, which
Try not to share it with anyone.
Do you think you could? I mean, do you think that's how you got it? Is from someone else?
Yeah.
From germs?
I'm sure.
right,
like
we'll
a-
just shift all the stuff outside and then pack up.
I wonder,
things along, you know.
is it airborne?
I'm sure.
So you think on the plane? We're trying to figure out how
The plane or the club
Oh
is
man,
a dirty
always the plane.
club.
Always the plane.
We played a pretty dirty club in Germany where it was just so smoky and like, it didn't seem, you know what I mean? Just like a grungy rock club.
But germs can't survive in those places. I reckon it's the plane.
smoke
man.
like
It's Germany,
the
isn't it?
smoke like breaks down your barrier, and then you're.
Shaky hand. Okay, let's get some landmarks. That's like, fucking Houses of Parliament there.
That there, right? That's fucking nice. Look, get that fucking rocket over there as well. Didn't mean to swear on a little video, but
I like a bit of swearing.
I like a bit of swearing, mate. Yeah. Battersea Power Station, looking like a mug over there,
Batsy.
between the cranes.
Pink Floyd album cover, of course,
Oh,
on the
yeah,
Heartbreed.
there's the pig. Go on, get up there, like. Get up.
That's a fucking gherkin over there. I don't even fucking love that.
Fucking loves it.